All right, football with friends is fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap here with Cody Carpentier to start off a game week edition of the Monday show here, Football with Friends on Orange Bloods Live. Man, so pumped to be here. We have a bunch of information to get through today. Coach Sark had his availability earlier today, the first game week of availability of the 2024 season as Texas heads into SEC play. And we got eight players? 6 or 8 players, something like that, man. Some kind of interesting takeaways from all of that stuff. But before we get to it, we're here to talk Longhorns football, but obviously there are some Cowboys fans here. Cody, did you tell me I was out doing my swim? Dalvin Cook is really flying into Dallas right now.
Jerry Jones doesn't mess up. He knows what he's doing. He's the GM. He ain't giving up that GM job. And he's bringing in Dalvin Cook to compete for carries. That's what he's doing. He's flying in right now.
Can you imagine Can you imagine? I can't imagine. Like, what are they bringing Le'Veon Bell next and Todd Gurley from calling him out from SEC media days? It's just unbelievable, dude.
Adrian Peterson, you might as well. I mean, come on, AP's the one, right? He's the one that's got to come back.
he's from the Dallas area.
Come on, that's got to be next.
Did you have any biggest kind of takeaway from what Coach Sark said today?
To be honest, not really. They could have went a little deeper into the Niblet thing. I guess I hadn't realized that he switched numbers. I guess there was a post out there of him switching the number to 21, and there was like
he straight up changed positions, dog. Like
I know, but I'm saying like they didn't really go into the Niblet thing. It felt like in the questioning, like there was questions about Gardner, but then I can't remember which one of the players they asked. I want to say it was Blue. They asked about Niblet. I listened to all. I mean, it's now that you listen back to all 8 of them, they're all melding together. And I'm trying to think back, but I believe it was Blue. They asked about Niblet and his change to the position. He said, "Yeah, he's completely changed to the position and focusing on it."
Well, so you can pick up those context clues, right?
Yeah,
it's like you could. There was a bunch because Sark had said that they had that they sort of. That like Niblet's been getting more work with them and stuff like that. But then it gets to Jaden Blue, and Jaden Blue saying that, the more he's been in our the more he's been in our room, or like the longer he's been in our room, the more and more impressed I become with him. And yeah, we can break down the stuff that some of the players said here after Sark. But yeah, man, it was wild today that it really. It really is starting to hit home, man. That I guess it's like it probably should have hit home at SEC Media Days, but now that Texas is entering this season as an SEC football team, and I didn't tune in to LHN and see Alex Loeb having to filibuster and read all kinds of stats and tell us about how Colorado State finished last year and yada yada yada. And they probably would have had like some vignette about Jay Norvell about how he used to be here at Texas. He was the wide receivers coach under Charlie Strong. Was that under Charlie Strong that Jay Norvell was here? I think it was. That wasn't under Herman. That was Maringer and stuff. But they would have probably talked about that, and then we would have had the thing wherever Brian Robeson and Lil Galindo kissed that giraffe at the exotic park and down in Johnson City and stuff, and there was like none of that, right? It's just like either you were there as a reporter or you just watched it on the app. It's like LHN's gone. There's still an LHN app, but it's like that's gone. And now we get an email today. We're going to get the whole SEC, the whole SEC weekly press conference on Wednesday with all the coaches that do the 10 minutes and stuff like this, right? So it's like it really kind of, I don't know, man. It's like it really hit home to me today that I can't believe that Texas is playing football on Saturday, and I can't believe that this is an SEC football team. It is going to be fun as hell. And like Text Guy 2 says, only 2 weeks until Michigan. 2 weeks until Michigan. We've been talking about this so much, Cody, and it's like you said last week, man. I can't wait till we can quit talking in hypotheticals and talk about what we actually see on a football field. And we've gotten to see a little bit of football. Boy, SMU kind of looked like they didn't want to play against Nevada. I know we're not here to talk about that, but Yeah, it's just super duper interesting stuff. Sark says that Colorado State is a tough opponent with an explosive offense and a dynamic receiver who all the players just call number 14, right? Whenever they talk about it, they talk about number 14. Torrey Horton, he said that they have 2 all-conference safeties. And what I thought, one of my questions for you last week on Final Takes, I'm not sure we ever got to it.
We never got to it.
But is Torrey Horton the best wide receiver that Texas is going to face before the SEC schedule starts?
That's not even a question. Michigan doesn't have anybody at that level. UTSA Monroe doesn't have anybody at that level. I think the best on the year, if you're going to ask that question, which I think is probably the proper question to ask, the best wide receiver they're going to play on the year, you start with Horton. You go to the Oklahoma game, you got Burks. I like Nick Anderson. I think Nick Anderson versus Torrey Horton is an interesting conversation. Georgia's got a couple of guys. London Humphreys is a sophomore, so he's still got some maturation to go. He was at Vanderbilt last year as a freshman, did pretty good things. I love Dylan Bell, but neither of those guys are on that level. And then Kentucky's got Berrien Browns. So it's like Berrien Brown versus Torrey Horton versus Deion Burks to see who the best receiver is that Texas is going to play, at least in the regular season. And from a dynamic standpoint, Burks and Berrien probably have that, but from an overall, you could look back in 3 years, Horton could be that guy.
You could just look back and say, like, you know, whenever Horton's a really good NFL player, maybe it might not be something where it's
he might not be the best college player, but he might be the best player in the end.
You know, they talk about how the quarterback can get in the right spots and about how he's trouble to deal with, man. Taft had a bunch to say about all of that stuff. Danny Davis asked Sark what he wanted to see in the game. What was like the one thing that he wanted to come out of the game seeing? And this was another kind of common refrain that we heard both from players and from Coach Sark today. It's just about the minimizing self-inflicted wounds. And look, I kind of think about this in 2 ways. Of course, you can't have these self-inflicted wounds and stuff, right? But I also think that there's still wounds and you still inflicted them on yourself. So it isn't like you can just write off everything that was a self-inflicted wound last year as saying like, dude, it's something like that's something that we can identify that like, oh, we did that to ourselves. And now just because we've identified that we did it to ourselves is we're going to absolutely have like stop doing it to ourselves. Right. That's one of these things where I think Sark, he's going to need to see it, you know, with the false starts and if you're Jake Majors, the snap infractions. Cam Williams last year, you know, the one thing about him is whenever he did get to play, he played really, really well. But in doing so, I want to get it pulled up and just see like the one thing I seem to remember that he had all kinds of false starts. I want to make sure I'm right about that though. Because if you look at Cam, so on the snaps per disruption last year, yeah, dude. So Cam Williams played 111 snaps last year. He didn't allow a sack. He didn't allow a hit. He didn't allow a pressure. He allowed 1 run stuff, but he committed 3 penalties on 111 snaps last year, which brought his snaps per disruption allowed down to 27.75. So still workable, right? 27.75 is still workable. That was something where during the days of like, say like Patrick Vahe and Derek Kerstetter and this type of player, you would hope that they would get to that, right? But among where Texas is right now with Kelvin Banks that goes like 40, 50 snaps before disruptions allowed, DJ Campbell that goes 40 snaps, Cam's number would have been a lot better, especially if you look at what his actual deep dig grades were in the games that he played. As far as his actual grades that take into account that disruption, but it also takes into account just how he executed his actual blocks on each play, right? On the scale that you know and the scale that we've discussed here on the show a million times. But you look at Cam Williams, his average grade in the deep dig was a 78.24, which was 3rd best on the team behind only Kelvin Banks and Christian Jones, 2 guys that are NFL players. So
still really good.
Yeah. So he was still really good despite all that. But I think those are the things, man. It's like if Cam Williams wouldn't have done those things during the time that he was the starter at right tackle, like those are the kinds of self-inflicted wounds. They they can't have them. And especially the one other thing that just kept coming up was the red zone woes from last year, and about how the self-inflicted wounds down there, man. Like those are the things that can't happen. And somebody in the dude, what I mean, I just don't understand what Nathan is saying here. I have the same lighting. My hair's the same. I did get my hair cut last week. Maybe it's like when the length of it is a little bit shorter.
You know what I think it is? I think it's the fact that you just got out of the pool and your hair's wet.
That could be it. But I showered and stuff. It's not like I got the pool.
Little chlorine action in there.
Yeah.
Or did you put gel in there then? Because it's standing up. Did you put gel in it?
No, I don't use gel. I use this. We can't talk about this. This is Football with Friends. But I do you
popped it up on the screen, homeboy.
I used a mat, like a mat, a styling mat. Okay. I think it's a mat.
Total alpha male move. Male move.
Okay. Yeah. Wes Miller says we're at 30 likes from 83 watching. You guys better get to work. You guys are only showing 83 watching. Man, I'm showing that we have closer to 300, but that's all the concurrent viewers across all the different platforms. So thanks to everybody for tuning in here as always. And it's certainly going to be a big week as far as everything that we have going on here. Let's see. Oh, so I forgot who it was that asked Sark if they're set at every position. And Sark's like, no, dude, we always go into week one. We always leave it open, right? And so my question to you, Cody, is really, I mean, how many jobs are still open right now?
4, 3.
What are they? All right. Like, can we go through them?
So, second corner.
Oh, so you're saying even on the 2 deep. So you're okay. Are there any starting jobs?
Talking about, I mean, everybody knows Manny's there. It seems like Gilbo's the nickel. Barron versus Holmes. Is Barron versus Holmes? Do you think that's definitively done?
Dude, Kirk Bowles asked Jade Barron today if
did you hear that? I love that.
He asked Jade Barron today if he was going to start at corner, and he's like, "No, man, I'm starting at Mike linebacker, and we're going to have Ant Hill play safety." It's just like
get out of my business.
just clowning on Kirk Bowles. Man.
I think you have your field corner, which is Barron versus Holmes or Holmes. You have your safety, which is Makuba or Taff. That's 2. These are my opinions, right?
Or also versus Derek Williams, man.
But Derek Williams is the other corner or safety. Sorry, the other safety.
Yeah, but he can play both.
But Derek Williams is starting.
I'm not sure. Like I wouldn't. I mean, I'm not if you told me that I did put my life on it, I wouldn't say like you know what I mean.
All right. Well, I think so. I think it's Barron versus Holmes at field. I think it's Makuba versus Taff at safety. Those are 2 jobs. The third job, I would say, in all honesty, is tight end. I don't know. I'm assuming Helm's going to be the starter, but like, whose job is it? It feels like it's Amari Niblack's. Like when they asked, there's a lot of questions today across Sark and across the players where they tried to get answers. They tried to get a player's name. They tried to get him to say something. And like professional players do and coaches do when they're in those settings, is they're very good at deflecting and saying, yeah, everyone looks good in the room. Yeah. And somebody pressed Quinn about the red zone and about targeting the red zone. And he brought up Amari Niblack's name first.
First one he brought up.
Then he said Gunner and Juan Davis. But he brought up Amari Niblack's name first. So I think Niblack has like quietly been fine. So that tight end positions I think is interesting. That's the third one. And then I guess you could potentially bring up the slot. I don't believe that that's a question, but a lot of people don't seem to be trusting DeAndre Moore. I don't know. I'd say 3 or 4. The 3 feel confident: tight end, safety, and field corner.
Now, I do think that if you're just talking straight 2 deep, that should be considered wide open. I mean, but I think
what do you think? He said that our 1s are our 2s and our 2s are our 1s. What do you think of that?
Yes, I mean that's like like I wrote in my column today. I'm just like, all right, like Trevor Goosby starting at left tackle. You know, it's just like, you know what I mean? It's like that's not the That's just not true. You know what I'm saying? That's a coach platitude. Dude, you grew up around coaches, man. You know how these dudes are. Come
I
on.
just thought it was funny because he's like, yeah, our twos are ones, our ones are twos. I was like,
Well, yeah.
okay.
No, I think the one guy you left out that
One competition.
yeah for the starter is Will linebacker with Benda and Blackwell.
Who brought Blackwell up today as a vocal leader?
Well, Blackwell
Taft
and
brought him up.
Taft,
Brought him
who
up.
always get brought up as the two two G's who are with the special teams unit that are like the leaders of it, the tone setters on special teams. So I bet you Taft kind of sees him as a little bit of a kindred spirit there, right?
So
on the two deep though, I can go through. I mean, we can just like, all right, at the two deep on defense. So the jack end Colton Vasek has been good, but I'm not sure that that's still a battle with Ethan Burke behind Barron Sorrell. If the defensive tackle and the nose tackle, obviously some shuffling is going to go on there. I probably think it would be Savea. I don't know. Is it Savea and Norton or is it? Okay, so you have this pulled up. That's still a battle there, right? Justice Finkley probably has a battle on his hands to be that backup edge behind Trey Moore, even in base situations, because what you see is that Finkley is, I have the 3 stars next to Simmons because he plays in some of the speed packages.
Yeah.
Right. So he's already kind of getting more playing time. Mike is, there's nobody underneath Leonga Lafau.
They love him too.
Yeah. He needs to. He's a little bit slow still. I think that there's is there a position? I mean, is it still open between Kobe Black and Jvon Cole? I would think it would have to be because Jvon Cole is still coming along, and so is Kobe Black. Both
they're not going to bury Cole. I don't think they're going to bury Cole.
Are they going to bury Kobe Black?
Well, it's not burying Kobe Black. He's a true freshman. Like unless he's maniacal, then it's like if he's maniacal about his growth, I think you'd have to consider. I don't know, put it transitioning to field right now because like he's probably going to be ready to play now. If he's ready to play now, I don't know. This is how my brain works, right? Is if you think he's better than Cole and you think he's competing for a starting job, I don't
think he's competing for starting.
No, I know, but if you're saying like if he's burying Jvon Cole, who's a starting cornerback at San Jose State last year, was a really good cornerback, and he's got his and Black's only had a few months advantage as far as like getting the playbook in, and Manny Muhammad's going to be in Texas this year and next year for sure, but Barron and Gavin Holmes are going to be gone next year. Would you potentially move Black to field just to
he can play. Yeah, he can play either. That's just where he's been lining up. He can play either. He's fine. Like Black looks like he could. Black's fast and he's relatively decent sized. I think he can play either for sure.
I just don't know if they're going to. I mean. It's a good ass problem to have. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and then with the safeties, I don't know. I think it's a 3-man thing with Makuba, Derek Williams, and Michael Taft. But who knows? Like Jelani McDonald could try and poke around. There's no competition coming from Phil Simi or Jordan Johnson Rebel for either of those 3.
Can I ask you a question before we move to the offensive side of this? Because I have the defensive side up on the screen. When they brought up today playing 32 to 33 players on defense in that Rice game, and that being like a goal for Saturday, and you look at this board right here, can you count 32, 33 guys off of here?
That are going to play?
Yeah.
In the first half?
Yeah.
He said 32 or 33 in the first half.
So that's 11.
This game, dude, this game is going to be
right.
Yeah, this game is going to be a tough thing to chart, man.
If you think Jelani's going to play, that's 12.
Yeah.
13 is Barron. 14 is Blackwell.
Finkley will play. Simmons will play. So that's what, 17. Norton will play. Savea will play. That's 19. Burke will play. That's 20. Vasek will probably play. That's 21. Probably two out of these other guys, or maybe three out of these other guys, January, Mitchell, Lole, and Bryant will probably play. So that's 24.
I think all six. I think all eight play. I think eight D tackles play.
I'm not sure if they can get to 30, man. How many players are even on that depth chart? I mean, how many is that?
47. Well, actually, 47 minus the oars. So there's 4, 5, 6 oars, so 41.
So all but 7 of these guys would play in the first half. Look, Santana Wilson's not playing in the first half. Anthony Smith's not playing in the first half. Phil Smith's not playing in the first half. Jordan Johnson-Rebel is not playing in the first half.
Melvin Hills.
Yeah, Melvin Hills is not playing in the first half. Tausilia Kana is not playing in the first half. Zena Umuzulo is not playing in the first half.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That gets us down to 34.
That's probably about right.
Okay.
Want to see something super cool? We got Lost Architect in the chat. He sent me an email. Look at this photo that he sent in. Can you see it?
Ooh.
That's one hell of a day in Colorado, Cody.
Where's he at?
Southwest Colorado, fly fishing. His wife took that photo on the old iPhone, man. I was like, that's something. It's kind of like front lit by the sun. You see the sun coming off the coming off the line there, man. And there's nothing like being up there and fly fishing, dude. Even though I'm no good at fly fishing.
It's one of those things you're either really good at or you're really bad at.
That's dude, I'm good at puttering around on these boats and using a spinning reel and a bait caster and stuff, man. It's is that fly fishing. I'll get into it. I'll get into it one day soon. But gosh, I love that kind of southern part of Colorado. Whenever we went this summer to Salida, it was one of my favorite trips that I've taken with my family. Just an awesome place. So thank you for sending that, Lost Architect. If you want to email us, you can. It's FWFemails@gmail.com. FWFemails@gmail.com. Send in your photos, send in your requests, your topics, your love, your hate, your death threats, your ideas about things, and we will get back to you about that. We'd love to hear from you. If you're interested in sponsoring the show, man, we would love to hear from you about that as well. And speaking of sponsors for the show, I got to tell you some big news about Texas beef traders.
Oh, you're going to break the news?
I got to tell you some big news about Texas beef traders, guys. So we're having the live event at Texas Beef Traders on September 6th, the Friday before the Michigan game, right there in Lakeway, right off of Loman's Crossing. Look, you guys know that Texas Beef Traders is the best place to get your beef. It's cheaper than everywhere else. It's local. It's right here from Mason, Texas. It's organic. It's everything, right? It's non-GMO. No vaccines, no antibiotics, no steroids, no shots, just none of this stuff, right? Just bovine nutritionists there on staff, processed there at the facility. That the difference in cost, like the money that they save processing there, is passed on to you, and you get 10% more off by using that promo code, or just calling up there and telling them that you heard about it on Orange Bloods. You get 10% off the already great cheap prices for this wonderful meat from this wonderful place. But here's the thing. I was up there yesterday talking with Darren and Dan about their plans for the show. Cody, they're going to go big, man. They're going to have like a menu of food. They're going to have beers, like they're going to have free beers. They're going to have stuff set up outside if people want to hang out. You can go throw cornhole or do the rest of it where you can hear the show out there too. But dude, the food spread that they're going to have set up is going to be just incredible. You guys are not going to want to miss this. Like, even if you don't want to hear our stupid faces talking about the Football with Friends stuff, just come up there and eat for free. You're going to be amazed with the kind of spread that they have there. I don't want to give too much away, but we're talking stuff like, cuts, like awesome steaks and stuff, Wagyu bacon, BLTs, like this kind of stuff. It's going to be really, really, really good. And it's going to be not just one thing, like a whole lot of things. So mark the calendar, September 6th, and starting probably tomorrow or Wednesday, I'm going to get a link from them because they're serious about making sure that this is a great experience for anybody who comes. But if it's only like 5 people who come, they don't want to like get all this steak ready and stuff like that and have it be wasted. So they can get an idea of how many people are going to come. There's going to be like a registration link, and you don't have to register or anything like that. But if you know you're going to come, if you could maybe just let them know so they can get a good idea. But they're going to do it up big at Texas Beef Traders. Again, TexasBeefTraders.com, great sponsor. Call them up, make sure and get your orders in. And if you can't get into Lakeway, they'll bring it to your house for free. Texas Beef Traders, TexasBeefTraders.com. All right, so get the chat back in here again. Thanks so much to the chat for being here. We cannot thank you guys enough. So S. Roan asked if they deliver to the Woodlands. They do not. They do not. It got to be Austin area for now, but they're working on deliveries. But it's a mom and pop kind of thing, right? They're trying to get everything set. But they're doing it. So Texas Beef Traders next Friday.
Sandman asks if we're going to do it for when UGA comes to town. We're going to play it by ear. We got one scheduled event, and if it goes well,
then we'll have more because you guys are going to want to come eat this food. I mean, I'm just telling you. Again, you can email us down at the bottom there at the FWF whatever, or that's not what it is. That's the other thing. Okay. All right. Back to Sark, and then we'll get to some of these players. Just anything else that was kind of interesting, or do we need to talk about if there's offensive depth chart stuff that's up for grabs still, though, before we get off that topic? Let's put
I mean, technically, like I said, for me, it's tight end. I guess people could make conversation of slot receiver. I heard Catch say today he still doesn't think DeAndre Moore's job is completely safe, which I think is cockamamie, but I mean, I respect Matthew Golden. I respect Silas Bolden. I understand that, but I don't know. Do you think there's anything other than the tight end position that's really up for grabs for the starting line?
Starting? No. Well, yeah. I mean,
do you think that one of the receiver spots is still open, or do you think it's Bond, Moore, Cook?
I do, but I'm not sure. Would it surprise me if I went out there and they started out dude, the only thing that would completely surprise me where I would go, oh, my jaw would just drop, and I say, oh my goodness, I'm out there at I'm out there at my lease, and I'm sitting in my trailer, and the only thing that makes my jaw drop to the very bottom of that nasty dirt covered floor is Isaiah Bond not being out there right when they run out.
Well, I think that for me, if the one receiver that I would expect to potentially not be there is Jonte. I'm not really worried about DeAndre Moore not starting. I would be more like,
well, it depends if they start out in 11 or 12. If they start out in 12, DeAndre Moore ain't starting. If it's a 2 tight end set that they start out in, he's not going to start. And I have the feeling with all this talk today with why do people keep asking if Jaden Blue can run between the tackles? Do you worry about him running between the tackles? How's he going to run between the tackles? It's not like he's not tiny. I don't get it. It's just like, I think they're going to get out there and just try to just establish it. Yeah. Dude. And
they should.
And if they do that, then they could come out in 12. And so I don't think DeAndre Moore would be out there first, but I do think that it's pretty close to a lock that their first 11 personnel snap, he would be out there at the slot. But I kind of think it's just as big a lock that it's going to be 1 and it's going to be 7 out there with the ones. 7 I'm more sure of, though.
What if it's Bond and Bolden?
No, but like I said, I wouldn't. That wouldn't be dropping my jaw to the floor of the double wide, dude. It just wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, the only way my jaw drops to the floor of the double wide is if Isaiah Bond is not out there. So yeah, dude, I think that there's probably some room. There's probably
when you hear him talk about the ball finding a player, like he's talked about Devonta Smith. He didn't just say it today. He said it last week.
Can you explain what he said? Like, because that's a really cool thing. He said that last week. I don't remember him saying that.
He said he's talked about Devonta. He's literally talked about Devonta Smith. Like, I want to say like 3 or 4 times this summer.
Well, I would talk about him all the time if I used to coach him and I had that season on the books. I'd be telling the dude at the grocery store, just bagging my groceries and stuff.
That's why, like, in projections, I go back to the 2019-2020 season, and I'm like, this is the weaponry that he had back then. He's got arguably you could make an argument saying he's got better weaponry now than he did at Bama back then in 2020 and 2019 when Devonta Smith was on that roster. And he'll openly bring it. I think he has the same kind of thoughts, but he said the ball would find Devonta Smith, and pretty much in saying that is just like he's the one that gets open. Like even though, there's guys on the field like Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, whatever, the ball found Devonta Smith. And that year that he won the Heisman, he had 1,843 yards and I don't even remember what it was, 16 touchdowns. Like the ball just finds him. And a lot of that, as you know, Alex, is like the Slim Reaper effect, which is the route running, the stemming, like all that stuff is what Devonta Smith brings to the table. My question, and he brings it up, is like, I don't know who's the ball going to find. And then they ask Quinn, and Quinn's like, man, they all look good, which is the classic answer.
He's not going to say.
I know, but I just thought, but that there was more. I was more tying it back to what we said earlier about them asking them questions and them always having a professional answer. My question for you, Alex, though, when you look at these receivers and you've seen them in person out at the practices, you got Bond, you got Moore, you got Cook, you got Golden, you got Bolden, you got Wingo. This is the top six. Like, when I look at that group, I think of three names when I think of like a player that the ball can find from he's going to be open, he's a sick route runner, he's got the speed, and like probably going to eat, one of the easier players to create a connection with the quarterback. And when I think of these three names, you're gonna think I'm cockamamie here. Three names, none of them are Isaiah Bond.
Well, okay, who are they?
Cook, Bolden, and Golden are the three names I think of when I think of players that the ball finds.
No, okay, I don't think that's right.
Is that cockamamie to think about?
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Look at those. I'm thinking about from a play style, a stylistic standpoint. The way Cook plays and runs routes, the way Bolden plays, the speed and the way he runs routes, and the way Golden plays.
From what I've seen, like Bond's the first, like the ball. If
Bond's
the ball's
the
finding
I know
these
you've
guys,
said that. Bond's the alpha. I get that.
Yeah,
like he's talking about a player that the ball is going to find naturally.
To me, I don't. Are you saying that this has some kind of different metaphysical sense than it does about just the guy that gets the most targets? Is there something more to it than that? That I'm just like that is going over my head. It's like a bigger. Are you going? Are we lighting up here and talking about?
If it was so clear that Bond was the alpha, this wouldn't be a question.
Well, I kind of think that
Bond had 48 receptions last year, only 9 more than Jermaine Burton.
Jermaine Burton's a super talented, really good player.
Jermaine Burton had 39 receptions last year.
He needs to get his head. Well, but Jalen Milroe was like he wasn't good for a whole lot of the season as far as being a passer.
Jermaine Burton had 130 more yards.
Had
twice as many touchdowns.
And Isaiah Bond was playing like for one, Jermaine Burton's really good, and that's exactly his game. And Isaiah Bond certainly had some big touchdowns, if you remember the Auburn game and stuff. But
I'm just saying, like the ball. He said the ball finds these players, and when I tell you that the players that come to mind are Bond's a really good football player, but what comes to mind is the route running, the stemming, the speed, and Bond's a really good football player. But Cook, Bolden, and Golden's mannerisms and route technique feel a little different. And when I think of him saying that about Devonta Smith, I think of the stemming, the speed, the routes.
Bond is faster than Golden.
Sure. Not faster than Bolden or Cook, though.
He's not. No, I don't think he's faster than either of those guys. I think he's probably about as fast as Cook. I don't know. I'd be interested to hear what. I'm sure that they have 40s on them. I need to ask around about that. That's
or at least some GPS on them.
Catapult stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who do you think of when you think of just like when he says Devonta Smith, the ball finds him? Like, what goes through your mind? Like, I just told you everything that goes through my mind. What I'm thinking of when he says that, and exactly where my mind goes. What goes through your mind when he says that?
I think Isaiah Bond. I think the outside wide receiver looks like the alpha guy that's going to get the most targets. I mean, I don't think about it. I don't think about it as stylistically as you do. I guess
I got you.
Look, I think they're all going to be good. I think you're probably a little higher on Golden than I am, but That's, who knows?
I'm not. The thing is I'm not really that high on Golden. I just have like this. You go back and watch him, and then you like see things from spring game. You see things from like fall camp, and you're like, maybe this for a little while. I was a little thinking like, this guy's got another year of eligibility left. Like I think he may be the one that gets kind of, sitting over in the corner watching, right? He might be back next year. And then like
you thought who was going to be sitting in the corner? Or there's a chance he could be sitting in the corner?
Matthew Golden sitting in the corner watching everybody else, right?
Yeah.
Because he's got a year eligibility left. Like you could see him. I could totally make sense of him coming back next year to Texas. And then as the process has gone through, I'm like, this dude's the ball's gonna find this guy.
Is the ball gonna find Arch Manning's hands in the first half? Bob Ballou asked. He said he's gonna play the ones and the twos in the first half.
Pretty fantastic question, to be honest with you.
I mean, he's just like, and Sark even kind of pointed at him. He's like, that's good. That's good. You slipped one in on me. And he said, we'll see. I think he'll probably play. If he plays all the twos, shouldn't he play Arch? Here's the other thing.
What's the score got to be?
Yeah, exactly. What if Texas finds itself in some kind of SMU dogfight where these guys are acting like they don't want to play? You know what I mean? I don't think that's going to be the case. But dude, you should have heard yesterday Shea from Texas Beef Traders when I was up there talking to them about this. So like Shea, he like whenever he started talking about that football game, he's a big SMU fan, right? He's an SMU guy. He went to SMU, which is I guess is kind of interesting because he's
big Texas fan.
No, it's just that he's like this Jewish dude that's so famous for making all this like kosher food and stuff. Like he makes pastrami from Texas Beef Traders and stuff like that. I never thought that it's interesting that he went to like a Methodist university. He's such a giant fan, but I definitely need to ask him about that. But anyway, he was saying that there need to be players on that team that need to be kicked off the team and stuff like this. He was saying that like a bunch of these guys have no heart. If there's another showing like this, he wouldn't mind if they just got rid of a bunch of these players and just gutted it and started over. I mean,
the program.
he was tilted about that game versus Nevada. So it can happen. Look at Florida State. I mean, obviously you can come into a game as big favorites, and I don't think that Arch Manning and taking snaps from Connor Robertson is going to be something that you do if you're up, you're up 20-10 halfway through the second quarter, right?
Yeah.
You don't do it at that point. The mission changes.
Yeah, I feel like it has to be at least a 27-3, 27-6 type of situation and like game in hand.
That's kind of weird.
But right. Like even then it's like the first half still seems pretty early. Like
so like you think
27-3, 27-6, like go into halftime, coming out of halftime, sure, I could understand that. But like 27-3, 27-6, there's 7 minutes left in the second quarter. Would that be enough?
Yeah, I don't. I would put it. I think that I would put Arch Manning playing in the first half of this game at like plus 200. I think he's an underdog to play the first half.
I think I would take the no on that side.
You would take the. So you would say.
I would say
I would say yes plus 200, no minus 175.
I'd take the 175.
And just pay the juice.
Yep.
I kind of don't think it's very likely. One thing that's extremely likely is that I'm going to keep buying shirts from Poncho Outdoors no matter what. Wore one of my fantasy football draft with my friends from college and high school over the weekend. Got a bunch of compliments on it. People look at these shirts and they're just like, dude, that like they want to grab them and touch them and feel them, just kind of feel them like, oh man, Like I've heard of those Poncho shirts. Like what's special about them? And you just tell them, man, it's got all these places. It's got a place for your phone. It's got. I had my fantasy drafted, so I had my sunglasses. So I got there earlier in the day, right? And but then we were at the bar that my buddy owns, and he was like, we're just sitting there. I got nowhere to put my glasses, but I got a handy pouch here, thing for my phone, like all these other things, right? Poncho Outdoors, dude. These shirts are great. And remember, scan the QR code, go check them out. I love the Western Pearl Snap shirts. Cody loves the hoodies. Cody only took Poncho shirts on his recent trip to Minnesota whenever he was in the airport the other day. So to try these shirts is to love them, and I can't wait to try some of their other stuff. Like I think they got pants and stuff too, so we're gonna get some of that stuff sent to us. Poncho Outdoors. Oh, and another reminder that they sponsor the Outsiders show. I noticed that the Outsiders are back now to Monday, Wednesday. They're coming on after us, I believe, at 8:30. So make sure and stick around for Bo Edge and Chance Mock and Chad Hastings and the crew on the Outsiders. That's what 7 and was that 7:30? No, 8:30.
8:30.
I'm getting mixed up here. I am getting older every day. So are you, and so is everybody in the chat. But guess what keeps clicking up? Almost 600 people in the chat, Cody. We're at 600. Thanks so much to everybody for being here. We really put a lot of effort into making sure that we're prepared for a good show where we just talk football the whole time, try to have very little filler. We have a lot of respect for your time, and so we can't thank you guys enough for being here. And the people who watch later, a ton of people are emailing us, say, man, hey, Alex, Cody, I watched the show at night with my family, like during dinner, which is like awesome. But then as many people say that they watch it in the morning. So whenever it is that you're watching the show, thank you so much. Money B says Blake's going to be on with the Outsiders tonight. And he even said, Blake! Love Blake. Miss Blake. All right. Let's see here. Super chat from SRone45. A lot of this will depend on Quinn improving his consistency with the deep ball. Thank you, SRone, for the $5 super chat, brother. And we should probably say, man, in addition to asking you guys for these likes and the subscribes, man, if you guys want to send super chats, they'll go right to the top. Unless we missed that one I might have missed that one from S-Ron. So thank you for getting that, Cody. What did he ask about the consistency of the deep ball?
Did you just read?
I'm such a Ron Burgundy, man. Like I just sometimes
he said a lot of this
back up.
Quinn's improving.
A lot of this will depend on
people. Basically, I think that was back when we were talking about the wide receiver room.
Here's the
and the ball finding them.
I can't unsee some of those ones that he uncorked versus Alabama and versus Oklahoma State. Right?
Those two deep balls to add 9 to Worthy against Alabama.
Yeah, dude. Just those ones where they were just
those moon balls.
The God mode moon balls. Like he has it in there, right? There's some kind of synapse in his brain that like fires neurons that go down through his muscle fibers and like chunk that thing. And he can do it. I've seen him do it. It's about recreating it. And I thought, dude, down the stretch last year, I mean, if the last thing you remember is the Washington game, I would just say go back and watch the Oklahoma State game too. That Washington game, man, Braylon Trice, those guys that was some trouble, man. They affected Quinn a lot more than Texas ever affected Penix. So, I'll tell you this: I don't know for sure that we got to see enough of Quinn during fall camp as the media, right, during the time that we're allowed there, to tell you with 100% certainty that I think this is better, right? I can't tell you that. But I can tell you with I have seen a little bit of this stuff, man. And he's better. His deep balls look really good.
Mentally, he seems better too. Not that he was ever bad, but he seems very professional in processing.
We have a super chat from Money B. Thank you, Money B. Very, very rich man. What are y'all's thoughts on Jonah Williams? Oh, I guess we haven't gotten to talk about that. Do you think Jonah Williams can play outside linebacker at first, or do you think he can? Or do you think he's just going to play safety?
Well,
before I watch this film, I'm like, dude, are we sure that we can't be talking about this guy coming in? And if they're doing all this NASCAR package and dime pack, I think what they got sold on. And dude, there was somebody who texted me earlier today who said, "Dude, I think we're going to see a lot of packages with 6 DBs versus Colorado State." If they start doing this stuff more, it's like Jonah Williams becomes a piece that. Well, first of all, what do you think of it? Like, I think he's an awesome athlete. I think he's super coordinated, really good, moves well in all directions, plays strong, sure tackler, brings his hips through contact, good pursuit angles, just generally just fast and just athletic. Really good change of direction, balanced.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, like he's just like he's the 5-star kind of, he's a 5-star, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I mean, he's just like a 5-star guy. Like he's incredibly good. I think if they're doing this dime stuff, man, they could even end up inventing a job for him, like a dime linebacker job. You know what I mean? It's just the way he plays as a true freshman is like that.
Yeah, I mean, Rival still has him listed as an outside linebacker. I think you probably have heard this as well as I have, but they talked about Ketchum said about when they first started recruiting Jonah Williams, they wanted him as a linebacker, and he basically said, I'm okay. Then you heard all the A&M stuff, Oklahoma, LSU, whatever. And then, the Schlossnagle thing came around, and then they basically re-recruited him as a safety. I guess they call it re-recruiting, and they probably never hung up the phone in the first place, but basically telling him he'd play safety. Now, is that them saying, you'll play safety, come on down? And then when pushing comes to shove, they're on the field, he's actually in like a hybrid linebacker, a hybrid Isaiah Simmons type thing where, Simmons played edge, linebacker, safety. He played everything in college and was pretty maniacal in that. Like, could Jonah be something like that? Yeah, for sure. But also, you don't know what his body's going to do. His body, like, they have him listed at 6'3", 200 right now, but Ty Anthony Smith put on 23 pounds in like 3 months from being on campus. He's 223 pounds now. What if his body does that? If his body does that and he's 6'3", 223, for example, Jonah Williams, a year from now, he ain't playing safety at 6'3", 223, I don't think. So,
I forget, but he's so well put together. Jonah Williams is. I mean, it's just.
I know, but still, that's like literally Cam Chancellor. There's very few humans that can really play back end at 6'3", 223. And I'm not saying he's going to come in and do that. But even if he's like 215, is that borderline too big to play back there? Potentially.
I mean, I'm just saying, it's like he might not want to. I mean, eventually DeMarvion Overshown has to bump down. Eventually Mo Blackwell has to bump down. It's like that's the way things go sometimes.
And also, what if he's just too sick playing like that hybrid outside linebacker, nickelback, whatever? Like you said, like
it could be a linebacker now.
A player like this, I don't think you come in and you go, hey, guess what? You're playing outside linebacker. I think a player like this, you come in, you put him on the field with a bunch of studs, and you just see where he fits.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
You can unleash him as some kind of Sam or Rover and let him get like the 3-hole drop stuff in coverage, but then also bang him down off the line. He's a good tackler, dude. He takes good angles. He brings his hips. Like, I don't know. Like, I'll be interested to see, man. He's certainly an interesting puzzle piece to add into it. Terry Freeman says he sees Jvon Cole projected starter on some depth charts.
Them aren't real depth charts.
Yeah, I'm not sure where you saw that, brother. It's like, I'd be interested to hear. Where did you see that? Was that certainly isn't a site that covers Texas. It might have been R Lads or something, maybe one of those. That's not quite as plugged in, but I'll be very surprised if he was the starter. Or I think there's a good chance he might have worked his way up to second team, but certainly was playing with the third team for the first 2 to 3 weeks of fall camp. Let's see, and he's not taking Manny Muhammad's job, and he's not taking a job from Jahdae Barron or from Gavin Holmes.
Yep.
Okay. So anything like from the players that you wanted to just anything that really stood out to you? I mean, Jaden Blue, he talked about did you hear how he said he added his weight just by eating a bunch of steak and red beans and rice? That sounds good. I love all of it.
I don't know about the red beans part, but
yeah, well, red beans and rice is just good altogether. I'm not just giant on the whole red beans thing. Let's see. Anything from Quinn that you thought was just the most interesting at all?
Well, I mean, he talked about Niblett as well. He said he's a smart kid. He always understood each position. I think he's done a good job over the last couple of weeks, switching it up and getting in there. Over the past couple of weeks, switching it up and getting it in there. He's gotten used to running between the tackles. Like, thought that was interesting. Like, everyone's been talking about the last couple of weeks, but he's done a good job over the past couple of weeks switching it up and getting in there. So they've obviously been doing it for a minute now, probably since since the running back stuff happened. So, I don't know. Like I mentioned a minute ago, like Quinn seems,
I think the only thing
mentally more advanced.
He doesn't want to say. He just knows he can't say anything. Quinn's not going to say.
What?
He doesn't. Quinn gets up there. He doesn't really give you much. He just said. You ask him who the best receiver is. He isn't going to tell you.
Well, no,
it's
I
like
know.
The things you can take away is just like context clues from him.
What he said at the end was like I said, I told you a minute ago, like I thought he's matured, not maybe matured, but he's mentally, his processing is more advanced than it was even a year ago. It's what it seems like right now, just as we've heard him a couple of times and notes we've heard on him. But he said some areas that he improved this offseason was, I think my biggest thing for me is being more comfortable in the pocket, not wanting to rule out, look down at the line of scrimmage, but keeping my eyes downfield overall, just being more comfortable within the offense and comfortable within defensive schemes, both pre and post snap. Thought that was interesting because, like I said, like it feels like he's more advanced mentally. Again, never saying he wasn't advanced, but it feels like he's more advanced now. And that just kind of like checks that box and tells you that he kind of is, and he feels more comfortable in his own skin in that. I wish somebody maybe would have asked him about the helmet communication like they asked about Anthony Hill. They asked Anthony Hill about that. I thought that was interesting. But yeah.
They they asked Anthony Hill, Michael Taft said that he was also, Michael Taft says he's worn the in-helmet stuff, but Anthony Hill says that he wears the in-helmet stuff. You know what I mean? And so I think that the stuff where they were messing around with safety and nickel, having the in-helmet stuff, I think that they'll, it's going to be Anthony Hill. He's the one that says that, like, I'm the Mike. I knew all along that I was going to get it. I knew all along that was going to be the case. And yeah, that is indeed the case. My gosh, Cody, 700 people watching, dude. Can you believe it? Our little show, 700 people watching it right now. We can't thank you guys enough. Again, we love it that you're here. We thank you for being here. And we love to hear from you guys over here next to us in the Specs chat line. Of course, we'd like to thank our good friends at Specs.
Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
Yes, we're back. Football with Friends. Alex Dunlap, Cody Carpentier. We're here every night, 6 p.m., talking all things Texas Longhorns, NFL draft, SEC. We're going to have a bunch of games. We're going to have a bunch of stuff to talk about coming up into this weekend, Cody, previewing some of these SEC games, things to watch for. I think do we get Arkansas on Thursday? I think we get that on Thursday, or maybe was that Thursday night? I have a bookmark that I put on. There's for the college football schedule, the TV schedule here. And I thought that there was no. So Thursday, the big games are, dude, it's on ESPNU. That's University of Arkansas, Pine Bluff at Arkansas.
That's the first SEC game?
Yep. And then anything on Friday? Yeah, dude, Friday at 6 p.m. I'll be in a hunting blind, but I'll watch this. Temple at Oklahoma. So we have that Friday, August 30th. And then, of course, we go into there's a bunch of good games this week. Why is Clemson versus Georgia at 11 a.m., man? That's how you get the people. That's how you get the people going. Do you agree with Joel Klatt that the best time, the best kickoff for college football is noon?
That's homerism. You know that.
He's just saying that because big noon kickoff.
Yes.
I thought he was saying it because that's the way that he can get home easy and doesn't mess too much with his schedule. Like on
that's Pate. Pate says that.
Oh, Pate does. Yeah. Josh Pate. Yeah. Anwar says it too. It saves him money and it saves him time and makes his travel a lot easier. So I guess I can understand that. To me, I just get tilted by it. Hey, go ahead and click on this thing. So what is this, Cody? Can you explain what this is?
This is exactly what it sounds like. It's the 2024 Football with Friends SEC season-long pick'em contest. So there's a lot of college football games that happen every single Saturday. But, Alex, we are officially now in the SEC. This is our conference. We're in the SEC, so we're focusing
Our conference.
So the Football with Friends SEC season-long pick'em contest. Scan that QR code. I dropped the link in the chat already too. If you're too lazy to click the old QR code, you can just drop it right there in the chat. Click it, join it. It's free. The more people we get in, the better the prize will be. That'll be announced, once the season begins. And like Alex said, the season begins on Thursday with Arkansas. So make sure you get over there. I did see Chad Gibson drop a question earlier about the spread. Again, you are picking against the spread here. It's not going to make it too easy. You don't just get to pick teams outright. You got to take advantage of those 35-point, lines like Texas is, I think, favored by 35.5 right now over Colorado State. But those lines are created by.
Is it 35.5? I thought it was 32.5. Is it 35.5 now?
Well, a week ago it was 35.5. I haven't looked since. But the contest lines are via Run Your Pool. I think Run Your Pool puts them in once. I don't think they adjust. And they definitely shouldn't adjust if you make your pick. If you make your pick on a Wednesday, for example, I know they don't change after you've made your pick for you. But if you wait until Friday night to make your picks, they may change. I'm not sure though on that.
I've never done a pick 'em on this site, but I did go and sign. I went and signed up for this pick 'em, and the sign up was super quick and easy. It was like super, super quick and easy. So, yeah, go sign up, man. We would appreciate it. Or, if you want to, you don't have to, but
you don't have to be a part of the fun. You can.
We're just trying to have fun. It's fun. It's fun to have, extra reason to root for these games, and we'll put together a good package for y'all for sure. So, Cody, they're asking if we can get Sukamel on for a quick Hilton Charles update. Well, we can't do it tonight, but we can ask Jason if maybe he could come on one day this week. Cody, is the plan just no show Friday, and we'll do final takes on Thursday?
No show Friday, and I was going to propose that we do a preseason award show tomorrow, final take Tuesday, and we go through some freshman of the year, Tavondre Sweat breakout player of the year, kind of project some All-Americans. So we get two final takes shows this week since there's no Friday.
All right, so we'll do a final takes Tuesday and a final takes Thursday, and then man, we'll be into game week after that, and I'll be out in the woods. So thanks so much to everybody for being here today. Thanks so much for continuing to come and hang with us. It's so cool to see 700 people here watching live concurrently across all the different places that we're streaming, and to see our numbers continue to go up. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it, how much it means to us. Again, if you would like to email us, you can. It's fwfemails@gmail.com. If you just want to give us tips about things you think, or you want to talk to us about something, or you want to whatever, gosh, if you'd like to sponsor the show, if you want to do any of that stuff, work with us in any way, that's the best way to do it. fwfemails@gmail.com. And of course, another reminder, we're going to keep telling you about it. September 6th, live at Texas Beef Traders. Come and eat a bunch of food and drink a bunch of beer with us. I mean, it's talk some football. It's going to be fun as hell. So that's that. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. We love you very much. Go out and have a big, big, big Monday night. We got a big week ahead, dude. We're fired.